Duane Kirby Jensen is a poet and visual artist somewhat akin to Allen Ginsberg, which is to say free and holy and raunchy and visionary.
Raunchy? Okay.
Yeah, raunchy. This is my introduction, but you've introduced me.
I know.
I get to introduce you. Visit artofDuaneKirbyJensen.com. Checks in the mail. And you'll be struck in the third eye by what he calls, quote, an exploration of the beauty of loss and longing and the frailty of identity within a landscape of emotion. Well, okay, we're artists. We have a license to lay it on. Okay? Duane is the gregarious host of the very hot poetry reading at Zippy's in Everett, and recognized by the city bigwigs as a major cultural resource for that lively, gritty city. He was a recent feature at the Seattle Slam, but now they've lost him to Duvall. I'm ready. Are you ready? I wore my striped socks so he could knock them off.
Okay.
Ladles and germs, I give you the godfather of grunge, the destroyer of bullshit, His Highness, the epitome of unhip-hipness, Duane Kirby Jensen.
Thank you. The funniest thing is, I hate Ginsberg. I can appreciate how he propelled poets to write.
Yeah.
But the man himself and his work overall. So
he was in the right place at the right time.
He was. So tonight, my reading is going to be made up of 3 chapbooks. From Zafada, from Watch Me, and Slaughter, plus 1 poem that's not been performed anywhere else. And I don't do a lot of chit-chat between everything. This first one's called Dreaming of Flight, which was triggered by my friend Lisa considering suicide in Germany. And someone in the opposing room actually caught her sitting out there about 20 stories up. Dreaming of flight. Slow-moving fog invades our city. Minds taken hostage have forgotten the feel of the sun. I sit within the comfort of a chair which cups me as a cocoon havens possibilities. I watch as she slides one bare leg, then the other out the open window, till she sits perched upon window's ledge, 16 stories above a city that never rests. My white linen shirt hangs loose over her delicate limbs. It blends within the contours of the fog that moves into her as she inhales. I can almost hear the fog whisper, leap. Her hair drips over her as if it were an extension of my desire over subtle curves that wait to be awakened. For the moment, she has forgotten me. She communes with a call few willingly hear. She dreams of flight, of unfolding her wings, of abandoning gravity. I arise, cross the gulf that separates us. I encircle her waist with arms that could bend still, or lift a swallow gently into its nest. I warm the back of her neck with a kiss that lingers with the hunger of a dream remembered upon awakening. Her body surrenders small tremors that stir my own surrender. I lift her from her perch, careful not to crush wings. Head nestled into my chest, her dark eyes coil around my being as my dexterous fingers slide my shirt from her shoulders, the way sea foam is reclaimed upon collapse. I bend, kiss the V of her neck, stealing breath. I taste the salt upon her collarbone. My lips moisten the mound of her breast, still cupped within a robin egg blue bra. My heartbeat welcomes words into her throat. She leans inward, that silent language of want. I kiss her lips. Her bra falls from sight the way wine disappeared at the Last Supper. My eyes drink her. No words intrude upon the moment. Only breath, held and released over lapsed time. Both hands slide from back to waist until they are cupping her pale hips. I begin to lift her into the air to fly once more. Her left garment drifts to the earth with the gentleness of a feather giving up flight. Raising her over my head, she spreads her wings. I lower her just a fraction. A kiss held long. Then we are two golden eagles entwined within the other, with no fear of the oncoming ground. This one's called Upon Watching a Fat Man in Speedos Dance Nimbly in a YouTube Video. Midnight strikes as the video ends. I taste the first moments of grief for a father who was 1 month and 1 day shy of 5 years dead. I do not grieve over his death. He always had a way of disappearing without a trace, so these years of silence feels no different. I grieve for a man I barely knew. I grieve for what might have been, which I continue to view through the tint of orphan eyes that long to fill an emptiness. I remember how he could shine on a room until the full glare of the sun was upon him, the sun coming in second as the crowd of bar patrons leaned in, gorging themselves upon his words as if they were gospel. He easily laid his given name aside, modifying Brian for Byron. Oh, he did love playing that role. Lord Byron in all of his facets of drink, free love, and adventure. He gave orations that would turn televangelists green. I marveled at his endless stories that we never lived. I marvel at the gullibility of people who wanted to be filled with such awe that the weight of their own emptiness would drown them beneath the waves of a man whose words danced. I smile when I remember his voice, his mannerism, as he broke into Waltzin' Matilda, a sad song with a sad end made sadder sung in my father's voice. A rare moment when his own sadness found an avenue of escape. I remember the 2 a.m. alcohol-fueled phone calls. Hey, Frank, it's Brian. We need to go golfing in the morning. No, Dad, it's Duane. What you gonna try and pull, Fred? Dad, it's your son, Duane. You called me, not Fred. You're not Duane. Come on, Clay. Join me for a nightcap. Dad, Clay's dead. A long time dead. It's Duane. Dad, where are you calling from? Phoenix, you know that, Fred. I'm down here working a deal. You got some cash ready, right? How much do you need, Dad? 10,000 should get us, into the game. Okay, Dad, I'm going to hang up. You're drunk again. I've hardly been drinking at all. Just beer, nothing hard. Hey, Fred, do you miss those old days when you played with the Vikes? When we crawled our way through Minneapolis drinking after the games? Those were some great times. The best. Hey, Brian. Yeah, Fred? You ever hear from the boys? Which ones? Peggy's. Nah, maybe someday. I never understand Duane. And man, he wants nothing to do with his old man. God damn it, Fred. I brought him into the world. He owes me some respect. Damn them both. Goodbye, Dad. Last Temptation of Mallard. Frost turns liquid. Highway 9 transformed into a glistening river beneath the shimmer of late rising sun that snakes through a relinquishing fog that pauses to play within treetops. Distant fowl spreads wings into gentle glide, belly ready to skim into a watery landing. Urgency of morning feast distracts awareness. Horrifying fear enters Mallard's eyes, one last quack, which my human ears translate into, oh shit, before we bare bellies with wide spread wings like Christ into my windshield. I breathe deep, thuds still echoing within my ears. Keep all four tires on asphalt, witness through rearview mirror, Mallard tumbling awkwardly into wild reeds, turned white by long winter. Morning calm shattered, windshield unbroken. And the last one from this book. Two women in folding chairs are looking at us. The title is taken from a poem by C.J. Lynch called Trying to Fight It. Two women folding chairs are looking at us. In my misreading of C.J.'s line, I was transported back to a funeral, watching women folding chairs. Women who were looking at me and my brother with solemn eyes. Eyes that had witnessed too much. Arms that had folded too many chairs at the end of too many rituals for the dead. Maybe it was at this moment I learned to stay to the end of funerals, of weddings, of events, to carry on the ritual of folding chairs, of witnessing the ends of things. So here's a poem that will be in my next chapbook that's still untitled. It's called Twins. She was a strange sort of woman whose girlish light blue eyes refused to age. If she were to lay within a meadow to bear witness to clouds drifting by, a robin might be tempted to land, warming twin eggs until each one hatches. Her wink drew him upward upon the lonesome trail made smooth by long walkers, whose exploits live on in song. Little did he know she had coaxed a tiger down from its mountaintop domain. He thought, upon discovering this, she desires to see me eaten. He wondered further to himself, as long as there is blood and death, would she be equally amused if I ate the tiger? So the next 6 poems or so are from Watch Me, which is a unique book that I wrote about 2 people and how their relationship grew from the beginning to the end. So I'm going to read a number of these poems in order, but there's more poems in between, plus haikus. Eastbound Train. He mentally counted cars by the sound of their jostling couplings as the eastbound train eased past his window. Sea lions, agitated from their slumber, barked their 2:41 a.m. intruder. He projected his spirit self into the number 9 car, covered in beautiful graffiti. A boxcar transporting his thoughts of guarded love to her doorstep. A boxcar she will hear during the night near her own cold water bay, filled with its own wild creatures. will she think of him? When she hears the grinding wheels on rusted tracks, will she wonder if this car has traveled from his coast to hers? Will she close her eyes and listen for the rattling of couplings, holding, contracting, releasing, and recoupling? Will she turn her face towards the sound of metal upon metal? Will she sense that his spirit rides the rails, that has been instructed to pass through her, whisper into her right ear, "You fill me with desire"? Will she remember their conversation about astral projection? Will she have a warm cup of green tea waiting on her porch? Will the door of her heart be ajar? My love letter to you, which I found crumbled in a crumbled ball under your bed, stained with tears. I would love to watch you sleep. I would love to sit and watch you read. I would love to watch you eat. But I am unsure if I could restrain myself for more than a few days from the need, the urge to touch you, to read to you, to feast with you. I will admit, looking at you is an act of feeding. But somewhere the act of watching only, must end. I know. You enjoy my eyes upon you. You warm yourself within the heat of my attention, the way a cat stretches upon a window ledge, capturing noonday sun. I see in your brown eyes that you have tribulations, that if we touch, the world you have crafted will burst into flame, coating you in ash. I repeat, the act of watching you, of only watching, must end. Watching without touching is an act of worship, and baby, this atheist does not worship at anyone's feet. True love is an act of participation. The sharing of breath and sweat as we scramble up mountains. Me cubing cantaloupe and pineapple for breakfast as you watch. You going out of your way to find me black licorice ice cream. Me making up silly little love songs to amuse you, sung in my off-kiltered voice. Being amazed when two hearts beat into sync, creating a melody that compels a union of two to dance the dance of primeval. In the morning, if you desire, I will sit across from you at the kitchen table, fasting. I will watch you enjoy your pancakes. I will watch you cut, fork, chew, and swallow. But hopefully, when you swallow that last buttery piece, I will get to taste the final drops of syrup that linger upon your lips. Now for the sexiest poem tonight. Poison, his fancy. I walk into a bar, order my second whiskey, notice she was drinking rum. She was temptation embodied within the cinnamon scent. Beautiful white teeth, huntress hips that transform men into moths. I sipped my honey-colored liquor, glancing into her brown eyes, my blues lingering with the gentleness of a hummingbird seeking forbidden nectar. I'm poison to men, she volunteered, with the confidence of a seasoned predator. I'm immune to poison, I smiled. Let me taste your tears. What tears? She responded through puzzled lips. The tears that you will shed if you don't wake up with me at sunrise. The tears you will shed if you don't taste my buttermilk biscuits, which I will bake for you from scratch. The tears you will shed when you realize your abandonment issues are self-inflicted. Intrigue enlarged her enormous brown eyes that were suddenly sparkling as if filled with a burst of carmination. She said in a hushed breath, "You're a very dangerous man." My hand reached around the back of her head, dissolving into her long black hair, which compelled me to think of Rapunzel. Her hair was thicker and darker than an old-growth forest on a moonless night. I pulled her close for a long kiss, saying, "You have no idea how right you are." Her lips parted without retreat. The bar fell silent. "Do you want honey with your biscuits?" I asked. "Yes." So now we have 3 short poems. Their first encounter. He knew he was intruding into her moment. That first day he stood watching her. Enraptured, he mirrored her stillness. At dusk, a crow settled upon his shoulder, uttering a series of warnings he failed to comprehend. Within a blink, she slipped through the earth, or did she simply walk away? The truth of their first encounter. Later, he discovered the truth. She had no faith in Descartes' theorem of identity. Her existence was reliant upon being the object of hungry eyes, eager to consume and document her existence. Without watchers who coveted her, she felt isolated from the world, disenfranchised from life, adrift, fearing the earth beneath her feet would swallow her shadow whole. The cost of their first encounter. The compulsion of never allowing a scab to heal returns him each morning to this place of their first encounter, near the solitary birch. It is here where he first stumbled upon her. Her eyes shuddered to hide tears, while she stood with the quietness of a statue, waiting for the end of eternity. Her memory tugs at the tip of his spine. His throat grows parched. Tumbleweeds could roll from his mouth and not be thought unexpected. If questioned at gunpoint, he could no longer swear to her existence. He even doubted his memory of her cinnamon scent.